Catholic Answers Live
Super Show. Play the
I-
music. You got to play the music.
I'm Cy Kellett. This is Edgar Lueno,
Luhano.
and we are here to present the Super Show. Yeah, we had a lot to talk about, and then we got Carlo for 2 hours, and we got him in studio. So that's pretty cool. Nobody played the music when you. I thought you were in charge around
I
here.
thought I was in charge, but apparently Johnny doesn't listen to me
You just
anymore.
shout things out, and they just
play the
don't do
music.
them. They're like, I don't care what you say.
There it is.
Let's go to Jeff Cam. There we go. All right. Love Jeff Cam. Very good.
What's up, Jeff?
Not much. What's up, guys?
Not much. It's nice. I'm
Just 5 hours of radio today. 5 hours of show.
5 hours of radio. That's what December is like. It's not like it's hard work, but it's work. You got to be paying attention. So what Edgar Lueno was referring to is that we pre-recorded 2 hours, which will play on Christmas Eve this morning, and then now we're in here for 3 hours. And that's just how it goes. You just got to deal with it in December, because if you want days off around here, you got to get your stuff done. And that's what we were doing this morning.
Yep.
Having fun talking with Carlo about Protestants and some of the ways that Catholics argue with Protestants that don't actually maybe do quite what we think they're going to do. So you can look for that on Christmas Eve. Since we're here, I thought it'd be good to talk about the Pope. The Pope's been traveling.
We always talk about the Pope, and I like it.
First, do we talk about the Pope a lot?
Yeah, we do.
We should talk about the president and the Pope all the time.
Those are the two things you should bring to the Thanksgiving table.
Yes, right. Talk about that all the time.
Can I just say, it was so poetic that the Pope went to Turkey on Thanksgiving.
I didn't even think that
Think
through.
about that. That's kind of epic.
What
an American...
He should have brought a band with him, the Cranberries. What's up? I just want to say something about Turkey.
Turkey?
Did you know that it's pronounced Turkey? Did you know this, Jeff?
Yeah, but when do we stop with pronouncing the things the way they're
Nicaragua. That's the first one. Back in the 1980s, reporters found out that Nicaragua was the correct pronunciation, and ever since that we've been all...
Look, my favorite city to visit was Budapest. Okay, Budapest was cool.
Yeah, I'm so old. I want to know if you're this old, Jeff. I know that he is too young for this. Do you remember when Beijing was not Beijing? We didn't say Beijing. No one ever heard of Beijing until about 1980, I think.
What was it?
What was it?
Peking.
Oh, like the duck.
Yeah, right.
Like the duck? Is that where the duck is from?
Yeah, for like in the Western world, in English pronunciation, we said Peking for, I don't know, a few hundred years, and then they switched it over to Beijing for us. And that always makes me think when I hear that kind of stuff, like, it's so hard to transliterate another language. Like, they probably went there the first time and like, what's this place? And somebody said Beijing, and they went, oh, Peking, cool. And then you just get it wrong forever. Like all those...
That's what I thought Calcutta was, because it was Calcutta, and then when they got their own independence, they rename the city of Calcutta C-A-L, what is it?
Kota.
To Kolkata.
Kolkata.
K-O-L, I don't know how to spell the rest of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
or Bombay and Mumbai. I mean, it's,
Oh, wait, is it the same thing?
yeah.
I didn't know that. Bombay, Mumbai?
Now, Istanbul used to have a different name, but that was because...
Don't worry. We'll rename it one day.
I don't... It's going back to Constantinople someday.
It's Constantinople. Now it's Istanbul.
Oh, man, he just did... They might be giants in there. Turkey. Because Turkey has been... They have tourism ads running on like sports right now. And they love to say Turkey. And I was like... I wasn't listening. I wasn't really watching. I was like, where are we going? Where are all these beautiful beaches and historic landmarks? Turkey. So the Pope was in Turkey. Pope Leo the 14th, November 27th to December 1st, he was out of his home over to Turkey in Lebanon. I'm probably saying Lebanon, right? Does anybody know how you're supposed to say Lebanon? Lebanon.
Nope.
He went to Lebanon. And in Turkey, he talked about, Turkey. That's what you do. You talk about the countries and
the
where
food.
you are. And Turkey is such an interesting place because it's in so many ways the heartland of Christianity for, I don't know, 500 years, 600 years, 700 years. It's just amazing to think that nobody remembers that now. And some of the Turks didn't like the Pope coming, I think because they don't like to be reminded. about who used to live there. I'm not sure.
Oh boy.
I'm not sure. So thought I'd read you a little bit about what he said. But, it's interesting because the part of the reason he went, of course, it's 1,700 years, 1,700 years since the Council of Nicaea.
Yep.
And but some people say Nicaea, or I don't know how they were saying it. I'm not Turkey, Nicaea. I don't know.
We're American, Nicaea.
Nicaea, so this was part of a celebration of that. And the thing that I thought was cool was they go to this lake. It's called Lake Iznik, and Nicaea used to be on this Lake Iznik, and this place where they celebrated was the church that they held the Council of Nicaea.
It's the basilica, right? It's now
Yeah.
it's not just a bunch of ruins.
It's ruins now. Wonder why it's ruins. Anyway, so this is what NBC News said. Iznik, Turkey, Pope Leo XIV joined Orthodox patriarchs and ecumenical leaders Friday in
Ecumenical.
in commemorating an important moment in Christian history, gathering at the site in Turkey of an unprecedented AD 325 meeting of bishops to pray that Christians might once again be reunited. And this is, I think, the most interesting part about all this. The fact that they were standing there on the ruins of the actual place where St. Nicholas punched a guy. But is that a true story? Did St. Nicholas punch Arius?
I think there's some truth to that.
You do?
Yeah.
So Leo, Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomew I, and other Christian leaders met on the shores of Lake Iznik, the site of the council. Leo flew by helicopter to Iznik from Istanbul, not Constantinople, to take part in ecumenical prayer to commemorate the 1700th anniversary. They report here that virtually all Christians accept the Council of Nicaea and the Creed of Nicaea. There's virtually all Christians do.
Accept it and believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just really disappointed that the Calvinists weren't there present, since. I'm just kidding.
You had nothing.
I
You
had
started
nothing.
something and you had no
I had
finish to
nothing.
that. Oh my gosh. Have a plan, man.
All right.
Have a plan. When you start a sentence, have some kind of plan for where
I'm
it's going.
assistant host, not
Assistant to the
yeah,
host.
it's-
But I don't know. You think we can get back together with the Orthodox?
I think from the Catholic perspective, it's very, very possible. I think based off of the chatter that I've seen online, it would be a lot harder for Orthodox to accept or reunify, because it almost feels like every Orthodox, the majority of the Orthodox comments that I saw online were, we will only reunite if you reject the heresy of papism or the heresy of papal supremacy or the heresy of the filioque. And it's like, well, you're just
but
we're starting on a faulty premise.
Who is saying this online? Is it?
It's
is
just,
it just dudes?
Orthobros, yeah.
So
You know the Orthobros.
do they matter? Like
This
they do matter in this sense, clearly.
This
because,
is what my concern would be.
all right.
You have the Patriarch of Constantinople. We won't call it that other name because let's say
Is he called the Patriarch of Constantinople? That's his title, isn't
I
it?
think so. Yeah, it's still
Yeah.
They won't call it. Yeah. Anyways, I think what would happen if reunification happens, you're going to have a massive schism amongst them, the ones that refuse to reunite, and it's going to be almost a Sedevacantism style sect from the Orthodox that's going to occur, because
That's what happened the last time, after the Council of Florence, when basically Catholics and Orthodox agreed to reunite, but it was the average everyday people who wouldn't do it. It wasn't the church leaders who wouldn't do it. At least that's my understanding of history. I'm not a great historian, certainly not in this regard, but my understanding of it is that's exactly what happened. Is people were like, the leaders, the bishops and priests were like, we're friends again, and
Yeah.
the people were like, no, we ain't. No, we ain't.
Yeah.
So there is a way in which the people get veto power on this stuff. So
because eventually the division happened again. But that was for theological reasons, wasn't it?
well, no, I think it was mostly for popular reasons. For people just didn't want to. They didn't want to do it. They didn't want that change. But I'm not saying that there's no theology underneath it.
Yeah.
Clearly there is. I'm not trying to denigrate someone's position, but sometimes the people are right, sometimes the people are wrong, and but the people always get a say.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I love the idea, like Pope John Paul II put it, the two lungs of the church. Imagine being reunified once again. There's something, I don't know. It's like the heart longs for that. I don't know if it's the Christendom in me, but just I want to see the two churches in one sense reunified. Obviously, there's the other Orthodox churches, the Copts, the Coptics, and the Ethiopians, and
who in some ways we're closer to than the European churches.
Yeah,
in some ways
that's true. Yeah, but imagine that unification. It would be such an incredible step towards something. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I do think people at some point we will stop asking what do we want, and we'll ask what Christ wants. And there's just no question about what he wants. He prayed that we would be one. So there's a kind of negotiation that goes on, and I don't think we're having this negotiation with each other. We're having a negotiation with God. Like, yeah, we'll be unified, but not until you make this happen or that happen. And we're very bossy with God about things. But if Christ himself prayed that we'll be one, then we'll be one.
I wonder if what it would take is a council to reunify, an actual gathering of the bishops to hash things out to finally reunify. Maybe that's
we might end up with 5 different churches. Like, that might be the worst thing that ever happened to us. You never know.
I'm thinking positive on this. I don't know about you.
No, you could. That could be correct. I don't know, but there's a willfulness in us, and we don't want to do. We don't want to. Now, I do think Pope John Paul II was sincere when he said that he was open to. I remember he asked for people to almost like be creative about ways that the papacy could be of service, so that it's not in the way of unity. And some people wrote books responding to him with that. He was like, there's only a few things that are essential to the papacy, and we can't lose those essential things. But most of this can be reordered in such a way that we can work things out. So, people will take him up on that. One thing that's not going to work is rehashing history to figure out who was wrong. It will not work. I mean, look, anybody that's been married knows that's not the way to solve an argument. Like, then you said, and then no, you said, and then no. Like, we can do that all day long. That is not how you end up loving one another again. Yeah. That's not how you end up brothers and sisters again. You end up going, okay, what's the way forward? And, when you get so desperate in your marriage that you go, well, what do we got to do to make this work? Rather than, what do I got to do to prove that you were wrong so that we can get this back on proper footing?
I know that's when my, the issues go away is when I tell my wife she's wrong.
Oh yeah, that's helpful.
That's exactly how it works.
So I think it's just a human thing, when the moment comes that we have the will to make unity the priority over everything else, as Christ himself prayed for, then we'll have it. Because you probably have to go through some therapy. We have to get some marriage counselors in here, but all that is good. But and there'll probably be saints who will play that role at some point. But we don't have the will. The reason we don't have unity is there's other things that we want more than to do Christ's will. That's the way I think about it. There's other things that we would like more than just to say, Jesus, what do you want us to do to get this thing straightened out? And if we would do that, he would straighten it out. He doesn't have a problem with unity. He knows how to do it. So this is our little human problem. And I have been involved many times in that. Well, then the Orthodox did this, and then do that forever. That will never solve anything. You're right about that. You want to talk about the sins of Catholics? Yeah, you're right about all that. That's not going to get you anywhere. Yeah. And you want to talk about the sins of the Orthodox? You are correct about that. Horrible, brutal sins on both sides. Do you want to do what Christ wants or not? That's what it comes down to. If you don't, then it's not going to happen. Yeah, because he ain't going to force us to be friends, to be brothers and sisters. But it's, I like the saints who get to the point where they're just doing things because they think, like they just out of love of Jesus. Like I like those little innocent saints who are like, I just want to comfort Jesus on the cross. so that when we get to that point, we'll be fine. But until we have a will within us to comfort Jesus on the cross, I'm sure that part of his suffering on the cross is to see all of this pride and stupidity that we have, and unwillingness.
Sounds about right.
It's not to say that could the Orthodox be right about some things theologically? Could the cat? Yeah, none of that is the problem. That's not the problem. The problem is the will.
Yeah.
Do we have the will?
Tell me it wasn't such an epic moment when you had the Patriarch Bartholomew and Pope Leo together reciting the Nicene Creed.
Yeah.
So it's like such a cool moment.
Yeah. Right. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And then I thought they were going to do a flash mob. That was remember flash mobs? That would be so awesome.
Although Pope Leo was lining all the patriarchs up for the picture. Did you see that?
Did he?
He was kind of like coordinating, like, all right, you stand here, Let's.
I heard there was a funny joke in the Blue Mosque. The Pope went to the Blue Mosque. He didn't pray there. He it is okay to pray in a mosque. You can. You just pray as a Christian, but you can pray anywhere. Like that's theologically precise. I believe you can pray anywhere. But the Pope didn't pray there. He said, "I just want to visit," which is unusual.
Yeah.
But he took his shoes off. He had white socks on. So
I was expecting them to be red, but
white socks. So he's rooting for Chicago even when he's in the mosque over there. But I guess he came to this door. They were like, "We'll go through here to go out." But it said no exit over the door. So clearly they were just using it as an exit for him. And he says to the Muslim guy who's giving him the tour, he goes, "It says no exit. Like I don't want to go out a door that says no exit." And the guy that's giving the tour goes, "You're welcome to stay as long as you'd like." I thought that was a good response. Like, all right. Anything else on the Pope? I know he was in Lebanon and he prayed at the site of that horrible explosion that they had in Lebanon, where people thought it was a nuclear bomb when it first went up. Do you remember that? People thought?
I remember watching the video, yeah. I actually had a friend who, the last I had heard, he was in Lebanon. Again, he had entered seminary there at is it the Melkite? The Melkite seminary? I think that's Lebanon, yeah. So he had entered seminary there. That was the last I heard. So I was like, I wonder if he was there when that happened. Turns out he wasn't, but it's frightening. It looked like a nuclear explosion, at least from, if you have never really seen a video of a nuclear explosion, it's frightening. That shock wave, that was pretty wild.
That was terrifying,
Yeah.
that shock wave.
Yeah.
And but I did learn at that time, because I saw some expert on TV talking about this, that you can tell the difference between a nuclear blast and a just regular explosion, because there'll be a flash of white light if there's a nuclear blast. And so this guy was watching the video and he goes, "That's not a nuclear bomb." Because everything else, it's just so, there's this tremendous shock wave that goes out and all that. And there's a mushroom cloud that went up from it. So it has all the things but this guy, he knew right away. He said, "No, that's not a nuclear blast. That's, there's no flash of white light." Which I think, I'm like, if you see that flash of white light though, are you blind at that point? Like I don't think you want to see that. Well, that was the last thing.
Would it ruin the lenses if camera caught it?
I
Would
suppose
it destroy it?
Depending on proximity, I imagine.
My sister just got back from Japan and she went to one of the nuclear bomb sites. I didn't realize this, that the bomb didn't actually hit the ground. It was actually exploded over. Do you know how high over the city it was?
I think it was like a few hundred feet, or maybe a few hundred.
Oh,
yards or
really?
something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Something in my brain tells me 1,500 feet, but let's ask Chatty. But yeah, that's
Chapita.
you get less
So it was,
fallout if you blast it in the air, and you get a wider area of destruction, because it doesn't shoot dirt up into the air as much. So
you want to ask Chapita?
that's horrible.
Yeah.
She went over there. Where'd she go? Nagasaki or Hiroshima?
I think it was Hiroshima. I think.
Did she go to the museum of the?
She did, yeah.
Yeah, so that's in Hiroshima.
Okay.
I've been
Yeah.
there.
Oh, you've been there?
Yeah.
What's it like?
I mean, it's pretty. It's wild, and it'll definitely, if people who are pro having nuked Japan, they should go through there. The flip side is there's nothing about the Japanese atrocities, which doesn't make it okay, of course.
No, but right, yeah, you're only getting one side of a,
You're getting
of a
one side of
really
it,
brutal story.
But
yeah.
it was very brutal. And
So what do they have there? Is it just
Never do that again.
is it just
never ever
images
do that
and
again.
text and all that? Because
the images and text, they've got these kind of like 3D, almost not statues, but sort of like anatomical things with
Yeah.
people showing their skin falling off and stuff.
Oh yeah.
to me that going to that museum would be equivalent to going to Auschwitz. I've been to Auschwitz. Have you ever been there?
Not Auschwitz. I've been to a different one, but yeah. Yeah.
It's that's extremely emotional.
The worst of humanity in some
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Oh yeah, like in a 5-year period, humanity reached its low point in a whole variety of different ways.
Yeah.
Including the targeting of civilians in a lot of cities. I mean, not just Hiroshima and Nagasaki. A lot of cities targeted where civilians were targeted intentionally, not accidentally, intentionally targeted. 1,650 feet, it says, above Nagasaki. I didn't look up Hiroshima. All right, I got to talk to you about something to do with your son,
to
Emiliano.
my son. Okay.
Yeah.
You refused to talk to me about what this
No,
was.
I wanted to talk to you about it here.
Okay.
Does he have a $1,000 account?
Oh, not yet. We haven't
What?
looked into that.
What are you talking about? Did you know kids can get free money now, Jeff?
No, can my kids get free money?
Well, when was the last one born?
2016?
Nope. No
So
money for you, Jeff.
Starting 2025.
January 1st, 2025, the government started giving free money to babies. Now, Drew Belsky will criticize me for saying free money. It's not free money. It's borrowed money, but
Well,
the
it's
family, it's free.
It's to unburden me from the thought of that somebody else paid it for it. All right, just give Emiliano his money. That's all.
Yeah,
That's it.
it
was free for him.
To Emiliano,
Yeah.
it will be free money.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I wanted to bring this up for a couple reasons. One, I'm not a news hound. There was a time in my life when I was a news hound, and I'm just not interested in most of the news anymore. Just like it doesn't not doing me any good to know it. It's not doing anybody else any good for me to know it. So I just don't delve into it. But I didn't know that we had these. They're called Trump accounts, and is this a recent thing, naming things after the president that passes them, or have we always done?
Obamacare,
Obamacare,
yeah.
Trump accounts, Bidenflation, wasn't that?
Bidenflation.
I guess he didn't like that one, but I heard that one.
Yep.
I heard people say that, but like I don't remember like in the olden days, like Truman. There was the Truman Doctrine.
The Green New Deal was named after, or no, that's a
Was named after a guy named Green.
The Eisenhower Interstate Freeway System.
Oh yeah, that's
right?
true.
The Hoover Dam. I don't know. That's that. But that's
after.
a monument.
That's an actual. Yeah, that's the name of a thing. But
Yeah.
like a benefit program. I don't remember. In the olden days, like Reagan, did Reagan have anything like that?
Reaganomics.
Well, there was Reaganomics, yeah.
Yeah.
But but not a bill. There's
Reagan's amnesty. I don't know.
Reagan's
It's
amnesty.
amnesty. I'm just naming it now.
Wasn't the amnesty Jimmy Carter? Or
No, it was
Gerald-
Reagan.
Jimmy Carter or Gerald
It was
Ford?
Reagan.
It was Reagan.
Yeah.
I think it was
Which
for
amnesty are we talking about?
the one where
For Mexicanos or for
Mexicanos.
Oh, I
My-
was thinking of the Vietnam War. I thought you were talking about that amnesty.
no,
that
my,
was the
my
amnesty
family.
that I remember.
My
from the
family received
70s.
amnesty through Reagan.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
Congratulations.
thank you. I know.
Felicidades.
Thank you. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracious.
Muchas gracious. Yeah. Woo. All right. Thank you.
You did it.
I
Edgar.
did
You
it. Thank you. Thanks, Ronald Reagan. Thanks to you.
You
I'm an
made it.
American citizen. No, I was born in the U.S., so we're good.
You want to sing? Do you want to sing "Born in the USA"?
I don't know, born in the USA.
Okay.
That should be a crime. But
Well, anyways, I don't know when we started naming things after the president, but these are called Trump accounts. And the way it works is if you have a baby and the baby was born between January 1st of this year and December 31st of 2028, so basically a 4-year trial.
3 year.
4. 25, 26, 27, 28. That's 4.
Okay, never mind.
Did you go to an American school? I'm sorry.
Math is hard, all right? Leave me alone.
No, because that is American school math that you're doing right there.
Wait, carry the 3.
Divide by. Okay. Edgar covers
All right.
himself in glory.
All
So
right.
it looks like a.
I'm making myself look real good today, aren't I?
Well, the trick is that it's the whole of 2025
There you go.
and the whole of 2028. It's not January 1st, 2028. It's December 31st.
You know, I'm just here to shine. That's it.
I was nervous that I got it wrong, and then Jeff is in there going, 4. That's 4 years.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate that.
All right, so you don't have to pass any tests to get this for your kids. Even people that can't do arithmetic can get the Trump money. I didn't know about the Trump money, but the reason that I came to my attention was because of Michael and Susan Dell. Did you guys hear about Michael and Susan? You know who Michael Dell is? He's the founder of the Dell Computer Company, and he's worth, I don't know, 100 billion, 200 billion, 150 billion, 40 billion. It's so much money.
Keep going.
I'm just going to pick all the numbers that I could put in front of the word billion. I don't know how many, I don't know how much billions he's got. But he and his wife, Susan, just gave away $6.25 billion in one swoop. $6.25 billion. Now,
To what?
they're going to add $250 to anybody who has one of these Trump accounts.
So it's
So Emiliano is now entitled to.
$1,250. Wait, carry the 3.
I was like, is he going to get it? Is he got?
I need applause for that one. I need something.
No, but you scared yourself halfway through. It's like, I better not
I
get
did,
this wrong. I could see your face. 1,200.
I was like, wait, did I hear the number right? I hope I did. I'm done doing math on the show. I'm done.
Lena's going to be so proud of you.
Yeah.
Good job,
She's
Edgar.
like, that's the leader of my household. Oh man. Well, it's funny enough you were mentioning, because last night we were talking about money, and that came up. Like, well, doesn't Emiliano get money? He gets money. Where do we get this? Like, I don't know. We'll talk to our tax
That's the thing
person.
is, I don't think anybody knows where to get the money. Like, who do you call for your Trump money? Like, you call Mar-a-Lago. Excuse me, is he in?
This is not the cleaners line. Please. Yeah, I'm just going to call my tax person and just have
You have
her-
a tax person?
I do have a tax
Oh my
person.
gosh, you are an American citizen. Good for you. You have a tax person.
To be
So
fair,
fancy.
well,
you know what?
it's Lena's friend.
Also, to be fair, given your math skills,
Exactly.
well, 6.25 billion. It says in the story that I read. I don't know if this is true. That's the biggest single donation anyone's ever given to charity, and so this will go to American children through these Trump accounts. So it's interesting to me that they probably couldn't have done this except that there was a mechanism created, and then somebody in the Dell household. I think it's Susan. Frankly, I don't know if it was Michael or Susan, but I'm going to go with Susan. I think she was like, "Hey, we could we'll throw a little something in those Trump accounts too," and so so it's 6.25 billion. I think it said. Would that be? I think it's 25 million kids are eligible for this. Emiliano is
I'm
one
not
of
helping
them.
you with that number.
So Michael and Susan Dell just gave your kid $250.
Thank you.
That's more than I gave you for your wedding.
It's more than you've ever given me, let's be honest. That number I know how to count.
Yeah, that's very nice of it. Now I wonder if you. I'm going to look up Michael Dell's net worth.
Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Dell, for your
Yeah, that was nice of
donation
you.
to Emiliano, and thank you, President Trump, for those $1,000.
All right, Michael. 151 billion. So
That's chump change for him then.
then another source goes 148.5 billion. I don't know. You can't trust the news. Fake news. I don't know. But like, so for 6.25 billion to come off of that, just on interest, he'll have that back in a year. Like, it's not like, but still, it's 6 point. Like, you can think of it in relative terms or in absolute terms, and I prefer in this case to think of it in absolute terms. That's a heck of a gift. Like, that's a tremendous. So that always starts the debate and conversation. What would you do if you had somewhere between 148.5 billion and 151 billion? And these were probably put on there before. So let's take that down by 6.25 billion. What is that?
I'm not helping you with the math. I've already done enough damage. We're good.
So I don't like this. Doesn't seem like a bad thing to me. I'm not criticizing Michael and Susan Dell. This seems like an actual really good use of their money, because say this is a poor kid. That kid gets to be 18 years old. All of this money will have been in some kind of exchange traded fund, and it'll grow with the stock market. So, $1,250 will be a lot of money for that kid when that kid turns 18. And then I think what happens is the kid just gets the money when they're 18. I wouldn't have done 18. I'd have done 21, frankly. Have you met any 18-year-olds? Johnny, no offense, but I'm
Yes,
not
I
talking
work
about
with-
you.
And that is an 18-year-old right there.
I know, but that's not the one I'm talking about. Johnny could handle his money. But just so you know, Johnny, Susan and Michael Dell, two of the richest people in the world, they didn't give you any. So sorry about that, Johnny. Yeah, I would have made it 21, but I don't think that this would have occurred to me to be the thing to do with my $6.25 billion. If I was like, I'm going to give $6.25 billion today, I think it would have been something else.
To a government program, basically.
Well, it's not. They didn't give it to the government program. They used the government program to be the tool to give it to the kids. So none of this money's going to the government. This money's going to kids. I don't know if they got to claim it or you probably got to open an account.
Whenever the government handles something, it makes me very worried that
Why?
it's going to. What do you mean?
What are you talking about?
Have you looked at the roads outside? Just throwing that out there.
In the state of California, you would say that? This
I-
beautifully run state?
Beautifully run. I
Come
love
on.
my gas prices, and I love I'm not. Don't get me started in California.
I'm going to go to Oklahoma this weekend,
Okay.
and every time I go to Oklahoma, I just cry when I see the price of gas. I just start weeping. It's uncontrollable. I can't do anything about it. It's
You
crazy.
You can move out of
I
California.
can move to Oklahoma. Okay, so you don't trust the government, as you were saying?
Whenever they're in charge, they just ruin something. So to me, I'm thinking, it may not go directly to the government, but where's the caveat? Because there's got to be something. It's hard to trust them. It's hard to trust.
Yeah. Well, if I had 100, go ahead.
Granted, you got to keep this in mind.
Yeah.
We're talking about a government, and I know this is federal, not state, but a government that the first time I voted on the high-speed rail in California, and this was 18 years ago.
Were you the vote that put it over the top?
I might have been, yeah.
Good job.
Yeah, thank you.
Because you were
And-
like, I live out here in the middle of nowhere. I need a high-speed train to another town in the middle of nowhere.
Not a mile of this thing has been made, and when they're going to actually do it, but it's going to be from what, Merced to Bakersfield. Yeah, when you say I want to go to California, you say, oh, I can't wait to visit Bakersfield, right? No offense to Bakersfield, love you.
You know me, but you don't
But-
like me. Do you know this song? Streets of Bakersfield.
Streets of Bakersfield, riveting.
Riveting, yeah. Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. Like, right, you look at this
Composer says, LOL, the train to nowhere. Absolutely, composer, the train to nowhere. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, well, right, yeah. I'm not saying that, but the Dells didn't give money to the government. They gave money to the kids, but I am just wondering, is this a good use of your money? And I would just say it's not a bad use of your money. That's the first thing I would say. Like I wouldn't say, well, that's a horrible thing. Like sometimes people give money. Like when I hear about people like dying and they leave $4 million to their cats, I think that person, no.
People are
going to think I have something against cats, and I do, as any normal man should.
And you have a dog.
But I do have a dog, yeah. But that's not the point. The point is that was a poor use of your money to take your care of your cats into perpetuity.
That's where I admire people like Jackie Chan. He's gonna donate all of his money, get rid of all his money. None of it's going to his kids because his kids are a little entitled.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I think for very wealthy people that is a hard thing. Like, what do you do with the kids? Because I think you're an extremely wealthy person, Jeff. So
He's an IT.
like when they are on the yacht with you on the weekend,
Yes.
Do you ever feel
they
like-
consult me often?
do you ever feel like you're spoiling them out there on the yacht with sailing around?
No, but I have thoughts on this. I think if you raise your kids well and you don't just have nepo babies, then you should give them that, because you kind of want to have this long sort of generations of money building up over time.
If they can handle it, if they know how to,
Yeah, I know. That's
if
why
they're
I
That's
say
the
responsible
thing.
doing it.
if
So
you publicly cut your kids off, it's kind of telling on yourself.
yeah, but I mean, it goes to show you the kind of kids that unfortunately they raised.
Right.
Yeah, but the effect of giving money to kids, like you want to help them, but I feel almost like you should put it in a trust and say, at 45, you can have this money. Because there is something about making your own way in the world that is actually good for you, and not everybody does, but I do think in general it's helpful.
Yeah, I like having an aristocratic class, so I don't
Oh, you
mind
do?
it. Yeah, I just think that they're so poorly raised in most of the United States.
Yeah.
But there's historical examples of well-raised aristocrats.
Sure. I mean, I always think of, to me, when people are like, well, you can't be rich and come from a rich family and be, I always think of Saint Louis, the King of France. The man was a true saint, and he lived his entire life as one of the richest people in the world. He was a true saint. He was not some fake saint. So I agree with you. I don't think it's determinative. And there are, these like Orthodox Russian women who were princesses who were saints. But I feel like you're gambling a little bit with your kids. I certainly don't think they should be indulged as children. I think that's cruel to indulge children because their expectations are wrong. Oh, okay. You know what you should do if you have a lot of money?
Push the money.
You should give it on. Today is Giving Tuesday, and give the money. Could we put Donna on the Jeff cam
Jeff
there?
cam.
Show him this. Show him. Have Donna show the sign that she just held up for us. Yeah, you go to Catholic.com and you
Down a
you
little.
give.
Donate button.
Click the donate button at Catholic.com. It's Giving Tuesday, perfect time to give and help us to continue to do what we do, which we're trying to answer questions about the Catholic faith so that people can come to the person of Jesus Christ and be saved and have the eternal life that He offers. So if
And more super shows.
If that's something you're interested in, go to Catholic.com and hit the donate button. Just go to Catholic. For Giving Tuesday, go to Catholic.com and hit the donate button. And if you are Michael or Susan Dell, and if there's not enough space for all the zeros you want to put in on there, then just give us a call here at Catholic Answers and we will accommodate you.
And you can donate bushels of wheat.
All right, here's something I would give money to, and I'm not joking about this at all. Like if I had $151 billion, I would take just some millions of it, and I would find some way to support Catholic radio stations. And I know that sounds completely self-serving because we're on Catholic radio stations, but I honestly think I think sometimes we maybe don't think all the way through that we need to give people spiritual goods as well as material goods. And the spiritual good of hearing about the person of Jesus, it's actually having a huge effect in people's lives. Like another article today about how there are so many conversions to the Catholic Church and nobody knew that this was coming. Well, thousands and thousands and thousands of Catholics have been working at this for a generation, building up these networks, and they work. The other thing I think I would give money to if I had $151 billion is healthcare all around the world. Just help people who are sick and physically sick, mentally sick, old and broken down. The older you get, the more you realize, man, somebody needs to take care of these old people because you're like, I can see where this is headed and it's not good. What about you? What would you do with not the whole 151 billion, but say you have a Susan and Michael Dell moment where you're like, we could give 6.25 billion, not million, 6.25 billion.
I think the health thing is what I would
That's
do.
what you do? Oh, because
Absolutely.
you've had it. You've been through that yourself.
Oh yeah, I've had what 6, 7, 8 surgeries. I don't know, one of those. So I was diagnosed with cancer at 16. So a lot of parents who don't have a lot of money, you already have the stress of your child sick, who might potentially die, the last thing you need to do is worry about bills and how this stuff is going to get paid for. So places like St. Jude's Hospital are just amazing.
Yeah.
And so that, or just go around the world and see who needs that help. And it's the whole healthcare thing here in the U.S. tied to your employment seems a little weird, because you have healthcare as long as you're working, but the moment you get sick and you need the healthcare to be off for maybe a few months, then you get fired, which means you no longer have insurance, which means you no longer can pay for anything.
Right.
And
It's crazy cycle.
It's a weird cycle. So
I think Jeff will probably know this. He knows so many things, but a huge proportion of the bankruptcies in the United States have to do with a major illness, like a really high proportion.
I
medical
think they
bills?
have to be. It's like a reverse lottery, right?
Yeah,
Like
you
if
lost.
If you win the lottery, you lose everything.
Yeah, right. That's right. If you win that lottery, what would you do, Jeff? What would you do with your $6.25 billion?
I would build a beautiful church with bells that would ring across the valleys in North County. We need more beautiful churches down here.
I like that idea, but do you know what a $6.25 billion church would be like? Like, they just built that SoFi Stadium up there. It was like $4 billion. Have you seen that thing? So you'd build a $6.25 billion church.
No, I'd build six $1 billion churches.
Okay. All right. Very good. Yeah. Okay. That sounds all right. I like it. I like it. You know what I would like to do with my money too is I'd like to support these people that I'm so sorry that I'm going to forget her name. The wonderful woman here in San Diego that teaches kids to sing Gregorian chant and
Marianne Carr Wilson.
Marianne Wilson, yeah. And what's the name of it?
Canticle.
Canticle, yeah. Like I feel like that's what Archbishop Corleone is doing up in San Francisco, is trying to improve liturgical music and liturgy that way. And it really is important. I do think, again, maybe I wouldn't have thought this when I was younger, but the spiritual goods are really important. And that's like a beautiful church and beautiful choirs and all that. That's important stuff.
you know what I would add as well to what I would give money to is set up, it's going to sound weird, defense systems for the persecuted in different parts of the world. So the church in Nigeria right now and how they're suffering, that the government's literally doing nothing about it to protect them. Find some kind of security that'll go out there and help protect them, for them to continue to worship and practice the faith and not be afraid of their lives. But that might get into some...
You'd hire Blackwater. You'd be like, excuse me, Blackwater, I have $6.25 billion.
We need your help to protect our...
Hey, they're ready to go. They've already volunteered.
That's
to
true.
go.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to say it. I'm glad you did.
But they got to get paid.
Yep.
So they need Edgar.
If I had the Dell's money.
I think you better do your reaction videos before we go too
Oh,
long.
yeah. All right. Johnny, play the video. Play the... There you go. Bienvenidos a Don Cirilo's Reacciones Reales. All right, size real reactions. We're going to start it off kind of light, and then we're going to end up with an interesting topic that we can talk about. All right, play the first one. Johnny, this one might get a little serious in the beginning. Go ahead.
If you accidentally fall out of a plane, most people think you should aim to land in water. But in reality, that's the worst option. Water doesn't compress well, and you'll be falling at over 200 miles per hour. The impact will feel the same as hitting concrete. It's better to choose another landing spot if possible. For example, a Catholic church, where you'll find the real presence of Jesus in the Eucharist and God's love and mercy waiting for you. If you
Who did that?
They're everywhere. There's videos like that everywhere.
What do you mean videos like that?
Like
What
if
is
you
that?
fall out of a sky, or if you jump from space, you're going to be hit by like a piece of debris, and it'll kill you because it'll puncture you. But if you are able to safely make it to Earth, you can make sure you land inside of a Catholic church where you have the Eucharist. Or
They
I've
do
seen
that?
I've seen some businesses promote this. It's like, so if you do make it to Earth, make sure you land in Dave's Hot Chicken, so where you can get some good chicken. So it's the best place to land is the Catholic church.
Man, that's funny because when I see that, I don't know the context. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just like, man, somebody made a hilarious video. But but there's a lot of that going around, huh?
A lot of it.
If you fall out of a plane, so if I was of your generation, I would have known a punchline was coming.
Yes, you would have known.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next one it's a little bit of AI slop, but it's fun.
I don't know what that is.
Okay, it's okay.
AI slop.
Kind of. Go ahead, Johnny.
Why you at church? You're just a dog.
Even dogs know that Jesus is the truth woman. Lock in.
Amen, dog. What you gonna do if the devil try to tempt you?
Tell them to run up and find out God ain't give pit bulls teeth for no reason.
What's one thing you wish you could tell your owner?
You can't say you hungry for God, but still be snacking on sin.
What's the biggest lie your owner ever told you?
He said we going to church, then got in the car and left without me. That's some Judas type betrayal.
You make Judas look nice. What's one thing you want to tell your owner's kid, but you can't?
Instead of yelling 6-7, go read Proverbs 6-7.
Why don't you play fetch anymore?
Because I'm chasing Christ now, woman. A tennis ball ain't saving me. Lock in.
Amen,
Lock
Mr.
in.
Sausage. What's the best quote your owner ever told you?
If God is making you wait to do what waiters do and serve, that hit my soul for real.
What's your owner's biggest red flag?
They gave their kids Bible names but no Bible lessons. Moses stole my toys last night.
Why you mad at your owners? They call themselves Christian, but this house feel real secular. They ain't fooling the Lord.
Do all dogs go to heaven?
That is really good.
We need some church
Now,
dogs.
is that part of something bigger? Like, I don't know which ones.
No,
No,
it's
it's
just-
just that
it's
lady
just-
thought that up.
Church dogs, you know? Which lady?
The lady that was on there.
That's AI too, Sai.
She's not a real lady.
It's not a real lady.
Seriously, I thought that was like a real lady.
That is all AI.
This is what I thought it was. A real lady that interviewed dogs, but the AI was the voices of the dogs. I didn't know that the whole thing was AI. Well, it is far away. Like, I don't know if I looked at it up.
Excuses.
I didn't know. And plus, Johnny puts it in that one corner of the screen. I don't get the whole screen.
That's my fault.
It's not your fault, Johnny. It's not your fault. I'm just not that bright, Johnny. So the guy jumping out of an airplane, that was all AI?
No, that was just a cartoon.
It wasn't a cartoon.
That was a cartoon.
It's not a cartoon. Play the guy falling out of the airplane
That was
again.
an AI guy cartoon, right?
Play the AI guy falling.
That's a cartoon.
If you
That's a real
accidentally
man.
fall out of a plane, most people think you should aim to land in water.
That's a human.
But
That's
in
AI.
reality,
You're right, that's AI.
That's
the
not
worst
AI.
option.
Oh.
Water doesn't compress well, and you'll
That
be
doesn't look
falling
real.
at over 200
That's real.
miles per hour.
It's not.
The impact.
Well,
will feel
no, it's
the
not real. I
same
can
as
tell
hitting
by the
concrete.
clouds.
It's better
That
to
part's
choose another
real.
landing spot if possible. For example, a Catholic church.
That is
where
funny.
you'll find the real presence of Jesus in the Eucharist.
You know, the thing is, don't land on a Catholic church. They're going to have to repair that roof and everything. Don't do that.
Only if Jeff donates and it's in North County, we're fine. You can land in there.
Yeah, land on Jeff's church. He's got $6.25 billion to fix it up.
There's 6 churches, $1 billion each, right?
Well, yeah, and 3/4 of that is to bribe the local officials to get the permits going through. Right?
Boy, you guys have a very low view of government. The two of you.
All right, this one's a more serious note. So this is.
I don't believe you.
No, it's this,
No.
no, this one's serious. This is from
Yeah.
a documentary or news clip from back, I think, in the early 2000s or the 90s. It's about a woman named Nora who went undercover as a man to basically pretend to date women to see the struggles that men are going through. And this is just a clip of that. So, Johnny, go ahead and play
No
it.
way.
Nora, as Ned, also went on about 30 dates.
Did you have any fun?
Rarely.
It was just an
pretty
ordeal.
unpleasant. Yeah.
She says the pressure of Ned having to prove himself was grueling. Nora was surprised that many women had no interest in a soft, vulnerable man.
My prejudice was that the ideal man is a woman in a man's body. And I learned, no, that's really not.
Do you think women understand what it's like to be a man?
Not at all. No clue. No idea.
That it took a trip into manhood to help her appreciate her own femininity.
I really like being a woman.
Did you like being a woman before Ned?
I did, but I like it more now because I think it's more of a privilege.
I said to her, this is going to be revolutionary because it's been looked at as though men were the perpetrators and women were the victims.
Ultimately, Ned told most of his dates that he was Nora. Barbara seemed more open and friendly, and in the end actually apologized for how she had treated Ned.
Sorry for being bitchy.
Please.
But after 18 months of deception, she was unraveling. Her checked into a hospital with severe depression. Her views about men have changed forever.
Men are suffering. They have different problems than women have, but they don't have it better. They need our sympathy. They need our love.
So, sorry about that. Forgot to cut that little clip out. But there's a more to the story. So, she actually goes into considering religious life, and she joins a group of religious for kind of a come and see as a kind of test.
Mm-hmm.
And she said that it felt really weird because they all looked upon him with suspicion because he was too soft and emotional. And they're like, you need to kind of suck this up. The tragic end to all of this, because of her experience, she actually ends up taking her own life.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But this is, there's
Lord have mercy.
There's a book that I think she wrote about her experience through all of this, and this to me is kind of a test subject of what is happening today, of the whole transgender movement. And I think people are waking up and realizing, no, we're very different. A woman cannot be a man and a man cannot be a woman. And it doesn't matter how you feel about it inside. If you try to live this kind of cosplay of what you think womanhood is or manhood is, whatever you are, you're going to end up even more depressed because you're not fulfilling your true nature of who you are. So this was back in the late 2000s, early 90s, or late 90s, early 2000s. And now it's being played out in a very real way now with, medicine, hormones, and surgeries and all that. And this was what happened to her, a tragic end. And I feel like this could have been a cautionary tale to what happens today, but it's, unfortunately it's being fulfilled.
That's a weird thing.
Yeah,
that's a weird thing. Although I have to say, she doesn't really have a man's experience because, some things that men enjoy, women don't enjoy.
Yeah.
And so there might be pleasures of being a man that she didn't get because, dudes busting on each other, for example. I don't think that would be fun for women, but for men, it's just like.
Well, because we share.
I'm talking here.
Well, you're done talking.
See, a woman, I think, might not enjoy that or think that that's funny.
The kind of,
I don't know, because I don't know what it's like to be a woman.
Well,
but
the love men share with each other is really just like riffing on each other, right? Just like you just kind of
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, and you show appreciation for each other in ways that most women won't. And I know a story of a man who received flowers from his wife, and he was very confused about what to do with them because he was like, I don't know what to do with flowers. Because it's like, again, men and women react different to things. I don't know. I think she saw a video online of a man receiving flowers and saying, thank you so much. I've always wanted flowers. It's like, but this guy didn't, he just didn't understand.
He didn't. He wanted pizza. And you gave him
pizza
flowers.
And beer. Yeah. So,
right.
Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, no, but I don't know. So I would think that a woman who had to live, men don't treat women the same way we treat men. And that's because women don't need the same things that men need. And men don't need the same things women need. So it would be awful if you were a man and, or say you were a group of men and you treated a woman exactly as you treat men. I think that would be very unpleasant for women because we're just not the same. Not talking is, I'm not trying to be a smart aleck about it, but the kind of male silence and the male deadness, kind of a dullness that we have, where women are animated and interested and we're not that interested. I would think that would be hurtful to this woman who's pretending to be a man. She would see that as something's wrong with men. No, actually, you just actually were in a room where men were being comfortably men, and it wouldn't be a lot of fun for
like
women.
she said, the ideal man is a woman in a man's body. So she was expecting this, men to be truly over emotional when they're amongst their own circles. When in reality, you just don't really need it.
No, but I do think guys can be emotional. We have ways of doing it. We just don't do it the same way that.
I mean, you're not going to do it. You're not going to get all emotional over, if you're watching a football game, eating pizza, and having a beer with your friends. It's, there's times and places for it. It's not always going to be.
No,
emotional.
But I don't think women get I don't know. Women are all getting emotional when they're watching a show together. Maybe they are. I don't know. But I don't think it all comes down to who's more emotional or whatnot. But we have such different ways of communicating. And I would think that male behavior towards other men would come across as mean or threatening to women. Well, I don't know. What do you think, Jeff? Let's go to the Jeff cam.
Yeah, it can. The thing you said about silence, though, was interesting. Because if you do the silent treatment, I think that's a very different thing. Like if your wife is suddenly quiet,
Yeah.
that's like an alert thing. Whereas if the husband's kind of quiet, it's like, okay, this is just a
This is
normal
It's
thing.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. But we are so different, though. I mean, it's weird that we are exactly the same. We're exactly the same kind of creatures, but we're just not in the world in the same way. And it's such a lie to say, well, you can switch it around, or like Dr. Ray was saying the other night. I was listening. He was here in San Diego, or he was out in Imperial Valley giving a talk, and he's like, you know, there was this time where people thought if you give girls GI Joes, then they'll be manly. They'll turn out more masculine. And if you give boys baby dolls, and he goes, then they gave boys baby dolls, and he goes, like I can't remember the number, but like 4 out of the 5 had the head ripped off the baby doll within the first 10 minutes of getting it. Like they just want to see what's in there. They just tore it apart.
If you turn the Barbie at an L shape, it's like a gun.
Yeah, yeah. So, I shouldn't give away Dr. Ray's lines because it's he's really good. But he goes, I've been in groups of men my whole life, and he goes, I've never heard someone go, cute top. I was like, yeah, it's just that like if you don't admit that we're different. I remember my mother, she wouldn't let my brothers and I have guns when we were kids. We couldn't have toy guns, or she didn't want us to have those. And she went out in the front yard one day, and we just had sticks. We were aiming them at each other and going blam, 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 blam. You know, like she's like, I guess I'll get them guns. Like, and I remember we got 6-shooters. We had like gun belts with 6-shooters on them. We used to wear those around.
Well, my parents talked to me about the times when growing up in the middle of nowhere, Mexico, my dad would take rocks and they were cars, and my mom would get the corn cob, and it still had like the hair on it, and she would, you know,
it was her
treat it
baby.
like it was baby doll.
Yeah.
And she would just kind of comb the hair, and it's kind of part of the nature.
Yeah.
I would have been interested to hear Emily's take on this. I wish we would have had Emily.
Emily
here.
wasn't feeling well, so
Yeah.
we couldn't have
Maybe
her.
next time. Good.
Yeah. That's another thing. I don't know if you've ever noticed this with your wives. Has your wife ever said to you, where'd you get that bruise? And you're like, I have no idea where I got that bruise. Like my wife always says to me, like, if I had to get a bruise, I know exactly where I got that bruise. I feel like, I don't know. It's just a bruise. Like, how do I know where I got the bruise? Have you ever had that experience, or is it just me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't
Like,
know.
where'd you get that? Or my wife used to say to me all the time, I go over and watch a game with my brother. How's Myra and the kids? I don't know. What'd you talk about? We watched baseball. Like, what do you mean, what do we talk about? It's my brother. We watched baseball. Literally talked about nothing.
Or when I found out that a mutual friend of my wife's and she said, oh, they're pregnant. Oh, great. You know, boy or girl, what happened? I was like, I don't know. All I know is that she's pregnant. What else do you want from me?
Like how often as a husband do you feel that feeling of, I did not ask enough questions because I came home, I don't have answers to all these questions.
They're engaged. Great. How did it happen? I don't know. All I know is she's got a ring now.
When are they getting married? I don't
No
know.
idea. All right. Well, with that, I don't have much else to say. So there's only a couple of minutes before the show. So, Johnny, to the pre-roll show. And when we come back, you're going to have 2 full hours with Dr. Carlo Broussard here to talk about your questions on Protestantism. So we'll be right back right here, Catholic Answers Live. All right.